arrived slowly over the kingdom, as if the world itself had decided to exhale. The sky deepened into layers of dark blue and soft silver, and thin clouds drifted lazily across the moon. From far away, the forest breathed in quiet harmony, leaves whispering, branches settling, the earth preparing for rest. Within the tallest tower of the castle, Princess Elinara remained awake. She sat wrapped in a light shawl, her hands resting loosely in her lap, her gaze fixed on the distant tree line beyond the gardens. This was her favorite hour, the moment when the palace grew still, when footsteps faded and expectations finally fell asleep. Tomorrow she would turn 20. The thought did not frighten her, but it weighed gently on her heart. Her life had always moved along carefully drawn lines. From childhood, every day had been guided. Lessons in etiquette, lessons in history, lessons in how a future queen should speak and smile. She had learned to walk gracefully through long halls, to listen patiently to advisors twice her age, and to nod thoughtfully when decisions were discussed around her, even when her voice was not asked for. Her father, the king, loved her deeply. Of that she had no doubt. Yet love, when bound tightly by tradition, could sometimes feel like a beautifully gilded cage. Elinara leaned closer to the window, feeling the cool glass beneath her fingertips, and watched as moonlight spilled softly over the forest. The forest had always called to her. It lay just beyond the outer gardens, ancient and vast, its edges softened by time. As a child, she had imagined it filled with gentle spirits, hidden paths, and stories waiting to be discovered. That night, the night everything changed, she had finally listened to that call. Wrapped in a simple cloak, her long hair loosely braided, Elinara slipped quietly through the palace corridors. No guards noticed her passage. The night itself seemed to guide her steps. The garden gates opened without protest, and soon she was walking through open fields, the grass cool and damp beneath her feet. The air smelled of earth and pine. Crickets sang softly in the distance, their rhythms steady and comforting. With each step away from the palace, her breath deepened, her thoughts slowed. When she reached the forest's edge, she paused. Tall trees rose before her, their branches interlacing high above, creating a canopy of shadow and moonlight. The forest did not feel threatening. It felt old and patient. She stepped inside. The ground beneath her feet softened, covered in moss and fallen leaves. Every sound seemed hushed, as if the forest itself were listening. Elinara walked slowly, allowing her senses to guide her. She traced her fingers along rough bark, listened to the distant call of an owl, and followed a narrow path that curved gently between the trees. Time became uncertain. She followed one path, then another still. At some point, she realized she no longer recognized her surroundings. The forest had grown deeper, the shadows longer, the silence heavier. She stopped. The moon still shone above, casting silver patterns on the forest floor. But the direction she had come from was no longer clear. She turned once, then again. Nothing looked familiar. A slow breath left her chest. Then, a sound, a low, distant howl. It was not sharp. It was not aggressive. It carried through the trees like a question. Another followed, closer this time. Elinara's heart began to beat faster, though she remained still. Between the trunks of the trees, movement stirred. Shapes emerged, graceful, quiet, deliberate. Wolves, their fur shimmered softly in the moonlight, their eyes reflecting pale gold and silver. They moved without haste, forming a loose circle around her. They did not snarl. They did not bare their teeth. They simply watched. Fear rose within her slowly, like a tide inching toward shore. Then, a calm voice broke the stillness. "That's enough." A figure stepped forward from the shadows. A young man, clad in a simple hunter's cloak. His posture relaxed but attentive. A bow rested at his side, unused. "Go on," he said gently. "She's not prey." The wolves hesitated. One lifted its head, ears twitching. Then, as if understanding something unspoken, they turned away, melting back into the forest. The night exhaled. Elinara stood frozen, her breath shallow. The young man turned to face her. "You're safe," he said softly. "They won't come back." She studied him, his calm eyes, the quiet strength in his presence, the ease with which he stood among the trees. "I'm lost," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded. "I know these woods," he replied. "My name is Rowan. I'll take you home." They walked together beneath the moon, their steps slow and unhurried. Rowan spoke quietly as they moved, telling her of his life at the forest's edge, of mornings spent tracking deer, of evenings cooking by the fire, of nights when the moon was his only companion. He spoke of listening to the forest, of knowing when to move and when to wait. Elinara listened, feeling something unfamiliar settle gently in her chest. With him, she was not a princess. She was simply a person walking beneath the stars. When they reached the edge of the forest, the castle lights glimmered faintly in the distance. "I should go," she said. Rowan nodded. "The forest will remember you," he said. "And so will I." She returned to the palace changed, though no one noticed. Weeks passed, then months, yet she never forgot the night, nor the hunter with quiet eyes when her father announced a grand tournament to celebrate her 20th birthday. She listened politely. Knights arrived from distant lands, their armor shining, their voices loud. Then she saw him. Rowan stood among them, wearing no crest, no armor of gold, only determination. The tournament unfolded slowly. Steel clashed. Crowds cheered. Rowan fought with patience, with awareness, as though he were still in the forest. One by one, he overcame every challenge. When the final match ended, silence fell. The king rose. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Rowan," the hunter said, "and I love your daughter." Elinara stepped forward. "I choose him," she said calmly. The king looked into her eyes and saw peace. He nodded. Their wedding was simple and quiet, held beneath the open sky. They lived not in a palace of stone, but in a home filled with warmth. And every night, they walked beneath the stars, hand in hand, as the forest breathed softly around them. Now, as your own breath slows, let this story drift away like mist, carrying you gently into sleep.